Hello there, and welcome to the Wonyoung Theater, or Oniric. Oniric in Greek means dream, and gathered before us in the theater, watching us as we watch them, is IZ*ONE, 12-member girl group. About a year ago, I did a video called IOI, which was about a girl group that was formed through a television reality competition show where viewers voted for the final contestants or members of the group that was formed. And that group, IOI, was around for a brief time by design. And then when they broke up, all the members went their separate ways, and many of them now have successful careers in other groups or as solo artists. Pretty much the exact same story holds true for IZ*ONE. So I'm gonna start from the beginning and show you their first release. So the show they were on ended in late summer of 2018, and in October of that year came IZ*ONE's debut release called Colorize. The name IZ*ONE here has multiple meanings. The IZ representing the 12 members, the 12, and then the 12 are one unit, one representation of that. The star is meant to represent the signs of the zodiac, and IZ*ONE is the pronunciation in English of the title. Their greeting when they greet fans to introduce themselves as a group includes the phrase all eyes on me or eyes on me. So here's Colorize. I really love the prism effect on the letters here of this, and those little colored balls that light up. There's 12 of those, different color representing each member. And the single for this was La Vie en Rose. Most of IZ*ONE's music I would call dance pop, much of that electro pop, but La Vie en Rose is kind of a statement debut song. It comes out really lush. There's acoustic guitar throughout, and strings, kind of a sweeping sound, and then changes into a dynamic dance type song. So it was a great debut and a huge hit. They were a huge hit as soon as they debuted, I would think largely from the success of the TV show. Oh My, number 2 here is a B-side, which I love. They do a great dance to that song. I'm gonna link to just one video from IZ*ONE because I'll have multiple videos in my description. I don't want to put too many there, but I'll have one, not from this album, and but it will show their skill as dancers. All right, now the members of IZ*ONE. The members I'll show from their last release, which is One Reeler Act 4, released at the end of 2020. It's really hard to find a good picture of them all as a group that I can show in this format because often the figures are way too small, and if I put them up close, they lose resolution. So this was one of the best I could find from this photo book, and it shows the 12 members in these amazing bejeweled outfits. Some of them wearing crowns, looking just spectacular. And so the members of IZ*ONE, I'll focus on each one, that's Hayden and Yena, Yujin, Yuri. There's Wonyoung, Eunbi, Minju, Sakura. There's Choi, Hitomi, Choi, and Nako. Almost all of these members I'll show towards the end of this talk with their own solo work or work in a group. There's only a couple that haven't, and this is only a little more than a year after their breakup. Okay, so I just wanted to show the picture. Even this one is kind of too small to show too well, but that was their last album. I showed you their first and last, and now. So in April of 2019, they released Heart Eyes, and the single on this was, it's in Korean. I can never remember this stuff. Shoot, what is it? Violetta, there we go. So the first two singles, La Vie en Rose and Violetta, were Spanish influenced in their titles. Their third was Fiesta. What are they going to show here? I got thrown off by that title thing, but Heart Eyes here includes another one of these kind of pop-up things. It's a little warped maybe from age, but there's the view of the group. Nako's the shortest member. There's 3 Japanese members, Nako, Hitomi, and Sakura. And the TV show that was on Korean television was a co-production with Japanese television too. So the voters from Japan and Korea could vote for who they wanted in the final group. And I-dle, after they debuted, have a large number of Japanese releases, none of which I have. I have all their Korean releases, not the Japanese ones. It's surprisingly expensive to get Japanese imports compared to Korean ones. It's really the main reason, kind of hard to find too, I guess. But that was April of 2019. And in November of 2019, they were scheduled to release their next album, but that got postponed because of a scandal. The CD Bloom Eyes eventually came out a few months later in early 2020, but the scandal involved the TV show and a voting manipulation scheme. The network in Korean television was called Mnet, and they had a number of these competition shows, which were super popular. They still are. They still have these shows in Korea as well as elsewhere. We have American Idol and America's Got Talent and the like. I'm going to fold this out to show you this. This is Yuri. But the police got involved, and the reason being that the public had to pay about a penny or maybe a dime for each text that they sent to vote for their favorite. And then it turned out that the whole thing was rigged, and the producers just picked who they were going to pick anyway. So it was a huge thing in a trial, and I know the one producer was sentenced to 2 years in jail for the whole thing. So pretty serious stuff. Because of that, this album's release was delayed, but none of that seems to have had any effect on the group's popularity. They were hugely popular when they debuted and remained so, and got even more so right up until the time they broke up. It was a planned breakup. As I said, it was no surprise. Everyone knew it was coming, although I didn't. I got into I-dle at the end of 2020, I think, and then was shocked about a month later to find out that they were about to disband. But we still have their work and the remaining members. There's also this excellent concert Blu-ray that was released in 2020 from that Bloom Eyes tour called Eyes on Me. It's a double Blu-ray set here. I really love the green color most of all, and the little shine on the front. And comes with your usual photo book, photo cards, etc. There's the 2 discs. I have 2 I-dle concert Blu-rays, this one and the one for One Eric Diary that I started off with. That's this one here. Yes, called on One Eric Theater. They both show great performances, but I prefer this one because it's in front of an audience. This one was recorded in 2020 in a studio when COVID shut everything down. There were no live audiences. So there is a certain dynamism that comes from the live audience, and it definitely shows, especially if you compare the same song performed in each concert. But both extravaganzas and really fun to watch. And so 2020 was a really busy year because that started with the release of Blue Mice, and then One Eric Diary, the album, came out later that year, and that was in June. The single from this one was called Secret Story of the Swan, number 2 there. A fairy tale concept of the song and lyrics, but a really hard-hitting sounding song. Heavy horns and percussion, they really come on strong. I really like this package too for the book format, as if it were an actual dream diary. And the fairy tale motif all the way through here. IZ*ONE always has great B-sides too, so on this one there's Pretty and Rococo. Here's a Japanese version of a Korean release, also of Secret Story. So they have Japanese versions of Korean songs on their Korean releases, as well as the straight up Japanese release, or Japanese only releases. So when Eric Diary comes out, it's the second big release of 2020 for them. And then that's followed by their final, One Reeler Act 4. And that was released in, I think, November 2020. This album I have in 3 versions. Same album, same music, but 3 different packages. Just to see the 3 looks, here's a spotlight look. Sakura's purple hair there. Here's the bejeweled dresses look. And here's a natural look out on the hillside. So I'm going to link to one of the songs from this album in the description, so you can take a look at them in action. It's going to be the dance version of Panorama, the single from this song. They end their career, their single that ended their career, or was their last single, is really high energy, awesome dancing, great costumes, very much everything IZ*ONE. Okay, so IZ*ONE then disbanded as planned, I think in April of 2020. And everyone was sad. They had a final concert. They haven't released that on Blu-ray yet. I don't know if they will. If they haven't by now, maybe not. Maybe that's a thing they just want to keep in the box. But I've seen clips from it. They did release clips from it. I think I saw fan clips from it too, from the audience, where everyone was crying. And it was very emotional, but I think all the fans knew that they would be back in some format. There was a petition of some sort generated to try to, convince the label and the members to re-up or extend their lifetime, but I guess no one was interested, and I think it's for the best. I really like the idea that there's a planned end to all this, and seen as a launch pad for what was to come next, because after all, these are still very, very young performers. So with that, we'll go on to the solo work to date. So the first post-IZ*ONE solo work that was released was that of Kwon Eunbi. She was the leader of the group. I should have mentioned that. The other members elected her leader. And her release is called Open. It came out in August of 2021, so just over a year after the official disbandment of the group. Eunbi's release was first. And right out of the gate, Eunbi's single Door here set a tone that was way different from much of what IZ*ONE had done. It's almost a big band sounding song with horns. It's kind of jazzy and swinging. Sounds like a song from a musical, but awesome. And Eunbi's a fantastic dancer and a beautiful singer, and she performs that song with a lot of gusto. One of the solo video performances I'm going to link to is of Eunbi, but it's of one of the B-sides called Blue Eyes, and she performs it in this dress. So Blue Eyes is here. I love this song. It's a beautiful kind of new wave ballad, different sounding than Door, without the jazzy big band type sound, more of a mellow synthesizer type of song, and a really beautiful dance that she does in this video. So that'll show you what Eunbi can do. And then she followed that up this year with her second release, which is called Color, second mini album. This, I think, has to be one of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen on any album of any type. It's just, she's just floating. She's in a pool, she's in water. There's a light just directly above the surface, shining directly on her. She had to hold her breath, so there's no bubbles coming out of her mouth. And the water just gives her dress this beautiful floating, well, it is floating, this floating quality, like she's in air, strands of her hair there, and the huge bouquet of flowers she's looking at. So gorgeous visuals all the way through. There's only a few from that shoot in this book, and in the behind the scenes video she talks about how they hope to get just one. If they got just one picture that worked, they would be happy because of the difficulty of pulling all this together. So luckily we have 3 or 4 in this book, I think, and then the rest from other photo shoots. So the single from this song, from this release, is Glitch, totally different from the first single. Like the title suggests, sounds like a computer glitching, the music does. And I love the words. The lyrics are basically about her being the glitch in your machine. In other words, she's gonna mess you up because you won't be able to stop thinking about her. Eunbi also has released a photo book, which is right here. Every CD comes with a photo book, but this is a this is a supersized photo book. It's her first photo book, so maybe more to come, called Silver Rain. And it's just picture after picture of Eunbi in these very different scenarios. These books I have a number of. If you've seen my other videos, you've seen some of them. I see them as photography, art books, in addition to being, mementos or souvenirs of my musical interests. Beautifully put together. I love flower crowns, always. So, to give different looks here from leader Kwon Eunbi. In October 2020, Yuri, or Yuri, released her first solo effort. Title song is Glassy. It's a real upbeat pop song. Yuri was the lead vocalist of Swan. And she's one of these singers where you don't believe the voice that comes out of this body, this tiny person's body and that face. So she came first with Glassy and then followed up just recently, maybe just last month, with her follow-up. I'm gonna say the title is Opus 22 Y Waltz in Major until I'm told differently. And this one has a song. It's this one here. This is an interesting song. It's another light, upbeat sounding pop song, but the lyrics suggest something different. I like the concept of all this with the title and everything else. You open this up and it looks like a record and kind of classical music. And in fact, here we've got the score. So the English title to that song is Love Shh, Love Shh. And here's the actual score. I guess if you could read music and could play an instrument, you could play the song. It's got the lyrics here in Korean and English as usual. And the interestingly, this one. Okay, see, here's the chorus. L-O-V-E, ishi. That's what it sounds like. That part there is the ishi part, and it's the sh part here. Not knowing anything else, and the way I usually listen to Korean language songs is I kind of try to figure out the meaning without looking up the English, but I thought maybe it's about let's keep our love a secret, love, shh, or I'm not ready to talk about it yet, I'm in love with you, but shh, something like that. And these kind of youthful images of Yuri might reinforce that, innocent, I mean. But if we look here, okay, here the lyrics are slightly different. Here it's L-O-V-E is ishi. On the score, it was L-O-V-E and then the Korean character. So love is something. What is that ishi? Turns out it's shit. I'm shocked to discover this, and I hope I'm not totally off on this. There is that possibility, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right, that I found this out, and she is actually singing Love is Shit in a very upbeat way. This has been confirmed in a couple different ways, but the last video or the last interview I saw with Yuri essentially had her confirming that, where yeah, she's acknowledging that that's a surprising statement, but it's meant to be taken positively. Here's I guess this is a bookmark. In that she can sing it, she can say it in that way, love is shit, sounding happy, and she is happy. She's moving on with her life. I guess that particular love was shit. I don't know. It's very interesting to me. There's a new I-dle song where the chorus says, I'm a fucking tomboy. They bleep out the fucking, but it's clearly there, and in certain performances you can see a live performances shot by fans in the audience, and plus the audience will just shout it out when they're on stage anyways. Okay, so that was L-O-V-E ishi. Roller Skates is a great B-side to this album too. All right, so there's Yuri. So next in January of this year, 2022, came Yena, her solo release, Smiley. In this, she plays a superhero. Another pop-up. Video is great. She's sort of flying around, bestowing smiles on unhappy people. I'll link to that one. There's some rock song on here too. I forget the title of it, but she's clearly looking to expand her pop horizon. Sounds kind of like an Alvaro, was it Pretty Boys? Can't remember, but Yena so far with the one release. Looking pretty winky there. More from her soon, I'm sure. Next I'm going to show Hayden. Hayden did release a Christmas single, but it sold out immediately, so I don't have a copy of that. She is recording. She has her own YouTube channel, which is endlessly hilarious and fascinating, and she will have music out soon. So what I have here is not music, but it's there's Minju. What I have here are photobooks, okay? So just like the Eunbi photobooks, here, this one from Kang Haewon. It's called Beauty Cut. So some looks here that she didn't have in her Eyes One days, a little more mature. Haewon has a very successful modeling career, as you can imagine. Was considered one of the group's visuals. Obvious what that term means. What's not obvious to me is how that's decided. Who calls who a visual? They're all visuals to me, but one of her roles in Eyes One was to be pretty. And she's actually the first to admit that she's not the best singer or dancer. She does play guitar for real. So she seems to have a pretty good sense of humor about the whole things, and it's another thing that comes through in her videos. This is called a selfie book that came with the larger one, a Beauty Cut. But I question whether these are actually selfies. I mean, first of all, if she took that picture of food, then that's not really a selfie, is it? I mean, maybe she took it, but I thought a selfie was of yourself, and in most of these, she doesn't seem to be holding the camera. So I don't really know what's up with that, but it's an interesting little thing that goes along there. And then Hayden also produced a Season's Greetings box set, and I've shown these in other videos. My last one on Oh My Girl showed theirs. Here's Hayden's. It's got the usual stuff in here, like the calendar and photo cards and whatnot. There were two versions of this, and I chose this one because there's pictures of her in hanbok, like this here. Hanbok is this traditional Korean type of dress, and the hanbok period lasted centuries, and it was centuries ago. So there's different styles of hanbok. This is one of the more traditional styles, with the kind of short tunic on top with a long flowy skirt or dress underneath. And there's usually some kind of headpiece and a lot of ribbons and stuff. And a lot of groups do hanbok. Here's another variation of it. There's many different styles historically and modern adaptations too. So you'll see sometimes hanbok inspired outfits on a group, but back in the hanbok days, they didn't wear them as crop tops, for example, or with shorts. Another thing that distinguishes hanbok is rich, vibrant prints, often colorful. Beautiful kind of silky fabrics, like this here. So I always like to see that, and it's an expression of their cultural heritage. There's male hanbok too, of course, not dresses, but pants and hats and things like that. All right, so that was Hayden's output to date. And then we can look at Minju. Kim Minju, or Minju Angel. Another one of the visuals from IZ*ONE. Also has not yet released music. I think is planning to. She's done a lot of hosting. She's another one with a big modeling career. This photo book is called Chromomoria. She was also host or co-host of one of the popular music shows that's on Korean television weekly. So after IZ*ONE, she maintained her public exposure with that. And these members always appear in each other's Instagrams and YouTube videos and whatnot, supporting each other. So you'll see Minju doing that. These are really stunning pictures, especially those ones by the beach. Well, these ones where they're dressed up as if at a party always strike me as slightly sad because there's never anyone else there. Looks a little bit lonely. But I may be reading too much into it. What is this? Looks like, okay. It's a handwritten note. And then there's a poster in here too. And photo cards. Okay. So those were the solo releases post IZ*ONE to this date. And then there's two groups that have formed, each one with two former IZ*ONE members. And this is Les Seraphim. Their first release, I'm Fearless, came out in May of 2022. This has got interesting packaging, this box format. And this photo book is really sort of beyond the beyond. You can see the shine on it. And the pages too have this really glossy shine. There's the 6-member group there. Each page looks like a shot from a fashion magazine, and in fact that's partially what these things are. This one is the first one I've seen so far, though, that describes the clothes they're wearing. Right? So here's Choi, who's the leader of Les Seraphim and one of the former IZ*ONE members. Describes what she's wearing there. It doesn't say where they came from. I looked in the credits. I don't know if they're all sponsored by one designer or what. Couldn't really find that out. But I suppose the enterprising fan could find these clothes and recreate the look. Maybe that's the idea. So here again is a group. There's Choi, the other former IZ*ONE member. Here is Sakura, one of the 3 Japanese members. And then the rest of the group consists of Eunbi, the maknae or youngest member. It's Kaza, a Japanese member. Oh gosh, I just misidentified Sakura. I was looking through the camera and not at the book. This is Sakura. This is Yujin, who is part American, speaks fluent English. Kaza, Sakura. Okay, so this is Kim Garam, who is currently on leave, on a hiatus from the group. The group has been performing as 5, right when they debuted. And just after came these stories of Yujin being some sort of high school bully. Or, sorry, Garam, not Yujin. This is Kim Garam. So this thing is taken really seriously in Korea. There's laws against it and court proceedings and so forth, and just couldn't have come at a worse time right after their debut. But so Garam has been on leave, and it's unclear as to when she'll return, if ever. In the meantime, the other members have carried on. This sound to this group is different from IZ*ONE. Not so much pop, is much more R&B influenced. And the single here, the name of it is Fearless. Has this, has a kind of a bass-driven R&B vibe to it. Great song. All of these are really good. Actually, Blue Flame is a good B-side. Great Mermaid, another song which is surprisingly vulgar. I just made the point of talking about those other 2 songs. Looky here. Here's the chorus. I don't give a shit. Clearly said throughout the song more than once. I don't give a shit. So I don't hate it. I just think it's interesting and something to watch. I blame the rappers. And finally, we have Ive, who debuted in December of 2021. Is another 6-member group with 2 former IZ*ONE members. This is their debut single. I have 2 versions of it. A song called 11, as in You Make Me Feel Like 11. This song has a very instantly recognizable sound to it. Not sure what the instrument is. It sounds vaguely Eastern, maybe a sitar or some such thing. Vocals suggesting exotic origins. Here in the middle there's Wonyoung and there's Yujin from IZ*ONE. And then the rest of the group is Gail, Liz, Ray from Japan, and Licio. Really like this group. They were popular as soon as they started. Here's the two versions of the photo books, the different looks. I've was one of many groups that debuted during the lockdowns, and just recently, within the last month, had their very first concert. Concert was in Germany, in a stadium, before about 55,000 fans. They had never even performed before an audience of a couple hundred on a TV show before. And lots of videos from that, both fan shot and official, really show what a spectacle that was. I think it was called K-Pop Flex. They weren't the only group that was there, but it's quite extraordinary to see them performing in front of all those screaming people finally. And then this is their follow-up release called Love Dive, and that came out just recently. This was April of 2022. Love Dive. It's another great single. Great follow-up. Here they are in their high teen mode. High teen, a term used to describe this sort of extremely stylized school uniform look. Idols have always worn school uniforms, girls and guys. The high teen is a fairly new designation. So with this one, in my whole history of buying CDs, which dates back almost 40 years, I have never ever had this happen until this one, where I purchased the CD, opened it up, and pulled out not one, but two identical copies of the same disc. I guess it's remarkable that it hadn't happened before this. I never even thought about it much until it happened. So, as a result, I've got two CDs of Love Dive. It has to be some kind of good omen, I think. I like the group anyway, but now, now I'm sticking with them forever. And then finally, I do have another version of the same album that I bought, but it's another version. This group released 6 different CDs, each one with a different member on the cover. This has been a trend in the last year or so that I've seen in K-pop. Other groups have done this too, and crazy collectors would buy the entire set at $15 a pop, buying a CD with 6 different CDs. Just a little too much for me. But just to show that it is in fact a different look, a different label. And here's the original, and here's the Wonyoung edition of it. Picked Wonyoung. But here, interestingly, it came with photo cards of other members. So these are pretty much random, I guess. So there's Licio and Liz inside this small photo book. You've got pictures of Wonyoung. Wonyoung also has been a host, or is still actually a host on one of the top TV music shows, as was Yujin. Pictured here. Yujin is the leader of this group. And this little mini poster is of Liz. Okay, so that was a look at IZ*ONE and its subsequent career. So back to the original lineup here. We saw Haewon's Photobook, Yena's single Smiley, Yujin and Wonyoung's new group Ive, Yuri's singles, and Eunbi's, Minju's Photobook, Sakura and Choi are in Les Seraphim, Hitomi and Nako, both Japanese members. I don't know their whereabouts. And Choi, lead dancer of the group, has appeared on a really popular Korean TV show called Street Woman Fighter, I believe, and releases a lot of dance videos. So there you go, IZ*ONE. Hope you enjoyed that look. Thanks for checking in, and I will be back soon.